All right, guys. Um, this is going to be a conference preview of the Ohio Valley for men's basketball. It's going to be broken down exactly how it has here. We're going to start with expected rankings for the teams, then go into roster projections. We have a nice setup courtesy of Bartorvik.com where they break down the projected top 10 producing players for each team. And then we're going to go into player ratings based on statistics, which is going to be kind of cool. It's going to be offensively skewed. So just so you know, Jordan Sears is at the top when it comes to top players. So that may be controversial, but also kind of fun to look at. So let me get my face out of here. This, as mentioned in the previous slide, is courtesy of Bartorvik.com. Super cool website that I stumbled upon. I know KenPom is the GOAT, right? The one that everyone uses, but this one is cool too. What I'll do is not spend too much time on this one, but I do want to at least point out projected records, which is kind of a neat thing. You'll see that Southern Indiana at the very bottom only projected to win 9 games, 4 in the conference, which is a little, I don't know if stunning is the right word, but obviously pretty low. And then when you have something here called TourneyCast, you get to see what the projected seed would be if the team won the tournament. As you can see, Lindenwood and Southern Indiana have a 0 just because they're not eligible. But kind of cool to see, like Tennessee State would be probably a 15 seed if they won out. Obviously, we know SEMO, for anyone who watched last year, SEMO got the 16, but they had to do the play-in game. So let's say if Tennessee State made it, right, it looks like actually technically all of these teams, for the most part, would basically be 16 seeds. Maybe these ones would skew, but fun to look at. Not going to spend too much time on this. All right. So just looking at some headlines, Tennessee State leapfrogs Morehead State. If you didn't pick up on that on the previous slide, why? Because Morehead State has been at the top of the OVC for at least 2 years now since they had Janai Broom. It's because of Mark Freeman's injury. For everyone who's just catching up, the man had wrist surgery. He was the conference player of the year last year, so Tennessee State goes up to first. They have the highest projected offense, fourth highest projected defense, which is kind of interesting, but they do get an influx of new talent, which we'll look at, that's contributing most likely to that projection. Highest win total of 19. Highest conference wins at 12 with Morehead. And then they have the third highest transfer points, which is pretty cool to think that a team is ranked that high and they're getting most of their points from newcomers. Probably factoring in that Kenyon Hodges is one of those newcomers and he has OVC experience. He was, I believe, EIU's leading scorer. The dude is a bucket, so that probably has something to do with it. Another headline, Edwardsville coming in at 3. I think a lot of people are a little... not a lot of people, but it's just high. That's why I have it out there. I mean, they return 2/3 of their minutes despite losing the infamous Dewan Pruitt, who became so well known in the conference tournament, and Jonathan Curtis. They lose their 2 big men. They didn't really get anyone to come in. I know they have a couple new people, a couple new big men, hopefully trying to fill those voids, but it is high. And I think it's fair to say that despite how proven they are, there are a lot of questions, especially Rayshon's injury history, their overall size. So I like how Tech, Little Rock, and Martin are top in projected offense after Tennessee State. Little Rock just kind of sneaking in there, probably thanks to DeAnthony Gordon's return. But they do get a lot of also some newcomers. Morehead is in the bottom 4 for projected offense. Wouldn't read too much into that because you got Freeman. I think Riley Minix is a name people are pretty hot on now. People are really trying to cast him in as Alex Gross. He's not Alex Gross in terms of size. He's not Alex Gross in terms of skill set. But on paper, he does rebound like Alex Gross. He does put up points like him. So I would say that that's a little blasphemous to have them in the bottom. And then, what's going on? USI, well, we know what's going on. They lost everyone to the pros. Polakovic is out. The OVC Zach Edey statistically is gone playing professionally. Jelani Simmons is gone. Trevor Lakes, Isaiah Swope. That's why. So I would also be shocked if they finish with worse projected defense and offense, especially since they have the dude stash from UConn coming over. They have hometown hero Kieran. I believe I'm just gonna say Powell. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but I know he didn't play a lot. He's a transfer from Houston, so. All right. So, this is kind of what I was talking about. Top 10 projected contributors. This is not always going to be accurate, and we'll see. And I looked at these from last year, that whatever they projected the teams to, the team's output to be, was not necessarily what it was, if that makes sense. This is just a projection, so it'll probably be wrong, but it's just kind of cool to look at. That's why we're doing this, right? All right. Clay and Boyd are gone, so you're losing 30 points a game. Who steps up? You got Christian Braun coming back. He had a foot injury, missed most of last season. Marcus Fitzgerald, who played with Mark Freeman, actually, at TSU, if you guys don't remember, but that's just, it's just another fun fact. Fitzgerald is primed for a huge year. I mean, he's at media day. He's at media day. They're just setting him up to be big contributor. I think he was snubbed. His father thinks he was snubbed too, if anyone was paying attention to any of those message boards on the, I believe, just Instagram. But, not here. We don't have to talk about that. I think that he'll easily get conference honors this year, especially with just more minutes to play. I know they bring in Kenyon Hodges, but Fitzgerald is going to increase that role as the projection states. I mean, he's predicted to get almost 15 points a game. Hodges is a steal guy. He and Sincere Malone and the EIU squad in their defeat of Iowa, which is infamous now. I mean, he's a scrappy guy. They've got Belmont transfers, and I'm just running through kind of my notes here. Belmont transfers Shanks and Bellinger. They have, I believe I had it in there, over 160 games at the D1 level. How many minutes they've played? I'm assuming they played sparingly, but that's a lot of experience. Jason Jatoba coming in from Florida. 7 starts there. Denham Dawson, should say Dawson, of course. There's going to be a typo this early. 3-star recruit. Limited production, but I have there 9 rebounds versus Penn State, 8 rebounds versus Ohio State. So what are we talking about? I mean, the dude can clearly get the boards. Just didn't get the opportunity. Get 2 highly touted rookies coming in. They're 3 stars. I feel like all these OVC freshmen, all these OVC transfers are 3 stars. But it's a 3-star. It's not anything to dismiss. One of them is 6'6", Gamble, which is size is always very interesting, especially in the OVC. So, and David Acosta comes back. Quick story before we move on. When SEMO played TSU in the tourney, Nate Johnson from SEMO, since I was just fortunate to be there, Nate Johnson, I just overheard him talking to someone on the bench, like, dang, that dude is strong. David Acosta is a big guy, 250, grown man, grad student, so. Morehead State, and if you guys didn't already figure out by now, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to give you the projections, and then we're going to just go over the notes here. Freeman is gone. We already talked about that. Gross is gone. This is how you know these projections are not necessarily accurate, because last year at this time, Gross was supposed to be the 5th contributor on Morehead State. And that was because we just didn't know. Whoever was putting the projection, or Bart Torvik, when he was putting in, we just didn't know how he would translate to the next level. Obviously, the rest is history. He won All OVC Defensive Player of the Year, I believe. He averaged 12 and 7. Thelwell and Khalil Thomas will have to step up with Freeman down. Thelwell did that. If anyone remembers that SEMO game, again, fortunate enough to be at that game. Freeman got injured in the first minute. Thelwell came in, scored 24 points that game. Obviously, it's a very isolated sample size, but the dude averaged 11 points last year. I think he's going to step up. Thomas can make it from the 3. Dude was big in the tournament. I think he kept them in that game before they ended up losing. I'm talking about the semi-conference game, the one that they lost to SEMO. Talked about Riley Minix already. These are impressive numbers. 25-13. I don't care if you average at the church league. These are big numbers. They will translate, not on that level, but they will translate. I wouldn't be shocked to see him average similar to what Gross did. You get 2 big men coming in. I just noted there that Miles had 350 blocks in high school, so kind of cool. Very limited experience at Xavier. George Marshall is getting a lot of buzz. I know Jalen Wyndham, I was fortunate enough to see at Ball State. He's a 3-point threat, athletic family. His younger brother is also a big-time recruit. He's going to the Big Ten next year. Eddie Ricks and Jerome Morden committed seemingly together. I know Ricks said that Morden was one of the reasons that he committed because they went on their trips together. At least they got to meet each other. Morden I got to see at the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star game. He showed out. I mean, you could definitely see, I don't have any specifics on him, but you could definitely see he was a contributor. Ricks has a big social media presence. I know that if you Google his name, you'll see him posing in, I believe it was Ole Miss jerseys and it must have been some sort of recruiting visit. He was highly touted. I mean, it says he's a top 40 national small forward. So top 40 in the nation. That's big. That's big time. All right. Edwardsville. This is the 3-headed monster. And then you've got the other twin, Lamar. I say 3-headed monster just because these 3 dudes were on the preseason All-OVC. Lamar is the 3-point shooter. Shamar is the one that seems to kind of get his own shots up. He's just kind of more of the dynamic player. The thing is now with Curtis and DeJuan Pruitt out, you have Terrence Thomas, who averaged, I believe, 5 and 3 I have here off the bench last year. But he's just a body. He can't shoot threes. He's a big dude. This dude that they got, Edebola Seun, hasn't played in years. Grew up in Japan, it looks like. Played JUCO in Texas. Was limited there. Committed to Longwood, D1. Didn't play there at all. I think that Arkenis, is it Sarkenis? Look, I just put 2 different names. Arnis Sarkenis, and I put Arkenis. Or is it? There it is. Sakinis, so I didn't even get it right. Dude played 20 minutes in the OVC championship game, or their last game. I guess the one when Pruitt was ejected, so they needed big men to step up. Arkenis came in, played 20 minutes, played well as far as I remember. Jordan Pickett is new. He's a rookie, similar to Rayshawn. He's a local legend, not legend, but just a local guy from the St. Louis area, so that'll be kind of cool. He'll have someone like Taylor to kind of just be in a shadow. You have Ethan Yancey and Eddie Toronto. Don't know too much about them, but they do come from, Toronto's at least coming from Indian Hills, which, always produces big-time guys, and Yancey had double-digit points per game at JUCO. Tennessee Tech, Seabury is gone. Seabury was nice, and he played at Moorhead too. Anyone who watched him, the dude was just smooth. Brett Thompson's at Youngstown State. He was just awesome to watch. Super fun. They're going to miss him, but I think just watching this exhibition game that the frickin' Golden Eagles lost to UT Southern, Pulaski, right? The Firehawks. This new guy that they got from West Virginia, where is he? Josiah Davis, looked pretty nice. He had a nice, we're talking about a minute what's it called? Just interval where he got an up and under, got a steal, got another a bucket, and got the game within 1 point in just under a minute there. I mean, really, we're talking like 20 seconds. So limited sample size there, but excited about him. They've got this big guy, David Craig from Mercer, who's really from Australia, and he looks like he's just going to be just humongous. How much he's going to play is interesting, but he had 5 and 4 with 10 starts at Mercer. So other than that, I mean, you've got Harvey coming back. Harvey and Wood are going to be big. I actually disagree that Deontay Wood is only 4th on projected contributors. I think he's going to be much more of a threat. And then I think Strong, where I see Grant Strong can knock it down from 3. Also showed out in that exhibition game. So kind of trying to pick up the pace. May need to turn this into 2 videos. We'll see. But roster projections for Tennessee Martin. They lose Stewart. KJ Salmon didn't even play really in the OVC tourney, at least the last, I believe he was out. Was he out? No, he was out completely as far as I remember. So they lose him. What's an interesting stat is that in almost all of Martin's losses last year, Parker Stewart shot under 33%. The dude had the green light to shoot. He was a volume shooter. Obviously, has history within the program with his family's legacy there. I think with him gone, you get a lot of minutes left, and we need to fill the minutes. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. I think Sears already was, I believe averaging 15 points a game. He'll only go up now. I think that he has a chance to win Player of the Year. I would put him as my Player of the Year projection. I know that's kind of a hot take, but I would put him there. KK Curry, I love his game. Very kind of thin built, but averaged over 8.5 points a game. I know he's big on defense. You've got good old Kenny White coming back into the league. Kenny White was at Murray State last year. Had a little run-in with the law last year at Murray State. I wonder if that's why he came over here. And I just mean that jokingly, obviously. But he's back 7-4 at Tech. They've got 2 big dudes coming. Now, I think this is going to be cool because I don't even remember. They lost a couple guys. They lost a couple big dudes that they had last year. But they have basically, we're close to pushing 7 feet on these guys. Fussell, and Issa Muhammad, who people are big on because he's coming from New Mexico State. And the only reason he transfer probably is that program was in such turmoil that he had to move on. And then I mentioned this JUCO guy who by the time when he committed to Martin was averaging 19 points a game. This was only 5 games into that season when he committed early, but I mean that's crazy. And he's 6'7". What are we talking about? Michael Carter-Williams coming in? I think it's good because Martin is undersized. Kobe Jeffries is small. Desmond Williams is small. I like them. I think they're both great players. I think Kobe Jeffries is extremely talented. Desmond Williams is a pest. Just he plays with passion. But it'll be good to have a couple more dudes with size. All right, so this is the mess because I can't just keep going slide by slide with one team. So now we're going to get 2 teams, and I'm going to have to put my face somewhere where I'm not in the way, which is going to be difficult. Let's just do this here. So, EIU, you've got, as I mentioned before, you lose Hodges, you lose Cam Hafner. These are names you probably don't need to really know because they're gone. Nick Ellington is at Murray State. Kyle Thomas is at Bradley. Sincere Malone is back, which is great. Led the league in steals as a freshman. And he's just got great size. I mean, you could tell that he's built for defense. Donaldson, I think he's extremely underrated. I think Donaldson can easily make the All-OVC team. It just depends on EIU's success. They're bringing a bunch of dudes because they lost all these guys. Half of these guys seem to be from Chicago, if not all of them. Nikhil Shelton comes from, if I'm not mistaken, the same school or at least the same conference as Polo Minor down at SIU Edwardsville. So I think he's has the potential, and he's bounced around too. He played at, I believe, a NAIA school, so he has the potential to kind of step in and just contribute. Tiger Booker averaged 7 points at Charlton State, so he's played the D1 level. You got a JUCO guy coming in. I mean, there's a lot of interesting pieces. Cooper Jacoby comes from Toledo. I just know that offhand. I know he didn't play much, but he was highly touted out of high school. So another AIU team that's just going to be fresh. But now Marty Simmons has kind of got his own guys in there. So we'll see. I mean, they're not projected to finish last, so that's an improvement. You've got Little Rock here, D'Anthony Gordon. I mean, that's huge. Makel Mitchell, 6'10", played at Arkansas, I believe, played 13 minutes a game, so this dude is no scrub. Jameer Chaplin has over 100 games played, and he was at South Florida last year. So this dude is going to come in and just take over. I think that's the thing with the OVC. When you have holes to fill and you have guys that have experience, they step up year in and year out. A bunch of JUCO guys here. Don't know too much about them, but it seems like they produced at their level. And then Creed Williamson, who anyone local to Arkansas knows, Corliss, played, I believe he played with the coach. No? I just know that this is something to watch. That Crocker is already projected. He's already on. Crocker Johnson is on. Jeez, did I Crocker Johnson? I forgot. I'm sorry if it's Crocker. But this dude already produced. He was projected to produce, to be a top 10 contributor. I know they only have him at 1 point a game, but I mean he made the list, and he's a freshman. So, all right. Gonna try to be a little more concise with this. SEMO loses. I mean, SEMO is the defending OVC champ, so they're losing Phil Russell, which is a shame. Chris Harris just ran out of eligibility because he played at. He was at Division II, Missouri Science and Technology. Then he was at John A. Logan. I mean, the dude has already been at SEMO since COVID, so he had to move on. Josh Early is back. Spelled his name wrong, of course, but I think he's going to be big. I think he was great against Alex Gross when they played Moorhead. I think that Nate Johnson, who has also left, struggled, and Josh Early was the one that really shut him down. Kobe Clark, there's a reason he's the top projected dude. The guy was killing it. 9 rebounds, then he got hurt. Branson, everyone loves Branson and SEMO. Seems like he's been there forever. Got a bunch of semi-local guys. Braxton Stacker played at Bradley Beal with now NBA guys like Nick Washington and Brandon Miller. TJ Beal comes from Triton, which is another big JUCO, and he showed out in their exhibition. I believe it was against Henderson State. That's what I put. Idata, if anyone watched SEMO games, this is a huge dude on the bench. You're like, who is this guy? Well, he couldn't play because he was ineligible, at least due to international transfer rules. Moving on to Lindenwood, Keenan Cole comes back after kind of flirting with the portal. The dude is huge in terms of production, and huge as well, but he can shoot the 3, so he can space the floor. You've got these 2 dudes coming in with experience. Amaro Lado, played 2 years at Hawaii. You got a grad transfer over 100 games, 3-point threat, which is big for floor spacing. Jeremiah Talton is a name. I'm from Illinois, so anyone from Illinois, especially if you're down by the Mississippi, they know this guy. They know the family. He has a brother. I mean, he was huge at JUCO. Look at those numbers, 21-5. Huge in college. I think he could have gone straight probably from high school to, frankly, Lindenwood probably. I don't know the exact science or story on why he ended up at JUCO, but nothing wrong with that. You got another JUCO guy from Coffeyville, which always produces big names. More JUCO. I mean, they got to fill the roster, let's be honest. They lose a bunch of dudes. So they've got all these JUCO guys coming in, all these transfers. We'll see how that goes. Let's just say that. All right, last 2. Newcomer, Western. They lose a guy to the NBA, so that'll suck in terms of how you want your season to go. They got Bennett and West, who are just big guys, long. They bring in a guy from Illinois State, and Joe Petrakis doesn't have a lot of numbers on him, but a big guy. Drew Cease, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I like this guy. I see him on social media. I think he's going to have a big year. He comes from Missouri St. Louis, which is also the same school that EIU had a little guard from there. His name is escaping me. Rose was his last name, maybe? Yakima Rose, also from there, if I'm not mistaken. So, kind of nice. His program is history transitioning to the OVC. Got a guy coming in who averaged 17 points at River Falls, Wisconsin River Falls. So, hey, Alex Gross, guys can make the transition. The OVC is not the SEC. This is the place. This is the place to make the transition. Shea Davis has a lot of buzz about him. Two guys coming in from John A. Logan, so that would be Dent, James Dent, and then Ryan Myers. Johnny Logan, and then Myers went to Indian Hills. So it's always nice when you see these big programs get, or when you see schools get transfers from these big programs. All right, now looking at USI, Swope is gone, Polakovic is gone. Jelani Simmons, not Salmons. Jelani Simmons is gone. You have to fill the holes. So what do? You bring in a guy who played at UConn, or it was on the roster, didn't play. You bring in Nolan Coswell, who was with Tennessee Tech and played in their championship game. I mean, he's almost 7 feet tall. You bring in a guy he went to JUCO with in McCord, out in Wyoming, maybe, I believe. Bring in Jordan Tillman, who has played D1 ball before. And what do you get? You get a, kind of a makeshift bunch. I love Stan. I think the coach is great. I think he's actually going to get them playing, and they're going to make the most out of their what looks to be limited talent here. So this is a little overwhelming, but this is what I was talking about. When you've got player statistics skewed towards offense, I think this is kind of cool to see because and it's, you can see that on the left, but these stats are ranked according to offense using POR/PAGUI. So that's points over replacement per adjusted game. Add and applied usage. So that's where this number is coming from. If you can see my what's it called, cursor. This number is how these rankings are basically divided. That's why this is in this order. It's because we're looking at this number, not these other numbers. These other numbers are obviously cool to look at, but this is why Sears is first, Gordon is second, because this is how they're basing these rankings. And I think it's cool to watch because it does really focus on their performance over the next best, or then just the replacement level player at a certain usage. So you're eliminating the bench warmer who can come in and put up high efficiency and low minutes. We're not going to slap him on here. So it does weigh your production and how much you're playing. And it's just cool because these are names that we obviously are all familiar with, but would you expect all these guys to be so high? I mean, this is kind of cool to see. Issa Muhammad, because we don't know much about him, and he's a new guy. Let's see, who else is kind of popping up? I mean, Western Illinois is a mystery because they're new. They're coming in from the Summit League, but that's kind of cool to see him up here. I know that the coach, Bordeaux, I believe, the coach for WIU was saying that, the OVC must be stacked with talent, and if none of our guys made the All-OVC, which is true. We don't know anything about the Leathernecks. So to see Ben up there, it gives you a little okay, maybe they can come out to play. I think it's cool to see Desmond Williams because this is a guy who when I see his name, I know he's just there for the energy. He's coming in spurts, but they have him pretty high. Kenny White, cool to see him. Sincere Malone, what I find it cool is if you go to steals, look at Sincere, 4.7, and then no one else is even what are we talking about? Shamar has maybe 3 almost. And then I listed, since there's only 25, you get a couple more guys. Aquan, who's probably going to be one of the biggest SEMO guys this year with everyone leaving. Eric Oliver, who was hurt. He got hurt last year. That's why Brett Thompson stepped up. I think he now Josiah Davis will help fill that role, but I think Eric Oliver has a chance to come in a little bit, and then the aforementioned Donaldson. So, all right, thanks for staying. Jesus, this is a bonus video, just since you guys at least watched seemingly the whole video. This is our video I taped just for you guys to watch. It's Belmont's, who's now obviously in the Missouri Valley, their game-clinching bucket right before the COVID shutdown. If anyone remembers that Belmont clinched the title, right? And then they didn't end up playing the tournament because of COVID. But this was the bucket that put them up and got them the victory. So let's start from the beginning. Hopefully it's not as grainy to you guys as it is to me right now. All right, so kind of cool. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Catch you on the next one.